ready for the first Gatorade 125 with 26 cars coming to the line. 14 drivers in each 125 transfer to Sunday's 500. Earn starting spots 3 through 30. Earnhardt already in the race, and Ernie Irvan, who lead them down in the second Gatorade 125. Spotters are already up on the roof, and they're going to get a workout today. And those clouds may give us a bit of a workout. A few sprinkles reported down in turn number 1, but not enough to turn this one off. Here we go. 50 laps, 125 miles. Earnhardt and Jarrett to bring them down. The two that fought it out here in 93.
Ken, Earnhardt got a great start. He always has a great transmission. When they take off, you see he's got about a 4-car length lead over Jarrett going down in the corner.
Dale didn't have any help on the back bumper, and Sterling Marlin was right up there behind him. And you see Jarrett still out there by himself as Terry Labonte goes under him.
Into third goes Labonte. Here comes Pressley down to the bottom of that green and white number 33. Peeled away, and here comes Sterling Marlin to the bottom to try to lead this first lap.
And here comes Terry Labonte. He's following Marlin right through there.
Dale will try to get back to the bottom, but Robert Pressley's right underneath him there. It looks like he made his spot right back in there. He's back in line again, Earnhardt is.
3 wide into the tri-oval as they come across with Marlin out in front, Labonte in second, Earnhardt in third. Then it's Kenny Wallace down to the bottom making his move in the number 81, that blue and yellow car. Pressley in the middle, and Dale Jarrett falls back into their clutches. Top 3, single file, and they pussyfoot away from the rest of the field. Look at that bunch back there in 5th.
Well, that's the way they were looking in practice here yesterday afternoon, and there were a lot of nervous people.
Ned, look at this, 4 wide down the back straightaway. Somebody's going to have to give out of this group.
Yeah, 3 wide's tough enough to go through these turns, let alone 4. They do get down to 3 wide back there in the pack.
There's Bill Elliott in the 94 as they come down the home stretch.
Tight running, but those front 3 are the story at the moment. I'll tell you who's making the move is that 43 car, Bobby Hamilton, down on the bottom. He found that hole and he's shot up through. Got himself about 6 spots. Front 3. Here's how they're deployed. Marlin in first. There you see Texas Terry Labonte in second and Earnhardt riding third. Bobby Hamilton continuing to fly in that Pontiac.
And Robert Pressley continues to go back. He got caught in the middle and has not been able to get out of the middle.
And that 71 car, Dave Marcus, who won a 125 back in 76, brand new sponsor, brand new outlook, great engine. He's making a race out of this.
And leading this pack is Kyle Petty. Everybody's wondering how the Pontiac's going to work in traffic. You can see it's doing quite well at the moment.
Well, they've single filed in that second batch, and they're collecting the first 3. Working lap number 4 of 50 in the first 125.
Ken, Dale Jarrett is flying. He's catching the top 3 cars now. He's finally got single file, and he's moving back up on the first 3 cars.
And that's exactly what he did in the Busch Clash. He came through a terror and came off that second turn and just closed him down. Take himself up through traffic. Here he is closing right back in on third place Earnhardt.
The impressive part of this run is he really does not have any help. He moved up on those cars right by himself.
Single file. Big freight train. The Daytona choo-choo through the tri-oval. 15 degrees and now headed down into turn number 1. And Jarrett's right back in this thing for Robert Giggs.
Dale Earnhardt ran a 47.73. That's the elapsed time around the track. Dale Jarrett ran a 47.47, about the speed that Earnhardt qualified at, but he was in the draft coming up on him. Makes a big difference.
There you see that front group holding on to that 4th spot now. That looks like Jimmy Spencer making his into 5th spot. Right behind him, that's Michael Waltrip. And there you see that number 9 car, Lake Speed, from 20th to 12th. He's pulled that off in 4 laps. The Melling car.
He chose to re-qualify on the second day of qualifying, picked up his speed tremendously. However, he had to start behind those cars that had qualified on Saturday that stood on their time. And he is coming up through the field very well.
And they were still fussing and fidgeting with that car this morning. They again changed rear springs, went softer on Lake Speed's number 9, and apparently it's made a big difference. There you see the front of the field working in lap 6.
There are 9 cars in the lead draft now. There were just 3 about 2 laps ago.
Jimmy Spencer back there in 5th, Michael Waltrip 6th, Wally Dallenbach and Bud Moore's car in 7th, Johnny Benson 8th, Ward Burton 9th, Kyle Petty, Lake Speed, Bill Elliott, all in that group. Closing her down, the top 12 coming around. 3 distinct packs of racing out here now. Take a look at them here. There's that first group.
The second group there, that's Kyle Petty, and that group is actually moving in on the front group, so they're running very well.
Kenny Wallace right there. Then you see Lake Speed. And there's that last group further back, led by Dave Marcus in 15th spot. That's Marcus.
Yeah, I think they've lost the draft of the lead group, so they're going to have to do their own drafting back there. Kyle Petty and his group is catching the front runners because they can pick them up off the draft. Here's Jeff Bodine. That's the car number 7 down on the inside trying to pass his brother. The Bodine brothers running side by side.
Brett Bodine had trouble earlier. Lost his car that he really intended to run this race with. Caught on fire coming to the tri-oval. Crash going into turn number 1. Backup car not looking too bad. The number 11 for Brett Bodine at the present time.
Now there are 14 cars in the lead draft.
And they're willing to sit on this one for a moment or two, right, buddy?
Yeah, I was just looking at Johnny Benson. He's sitting back here in about 8th spot. He's just right in this group here. You see him next to the last car there in the front group, and he's running very well. I'm sure he's going to school right now and learning all of the driving styles, doing a great job.
Well, for the last 6 straight years, Earnhardt has taken them all to school in this 125. And from Mark Martin's camera, looking back,
that's Mike Wallace just behind him. You see the cars moving. They're very soft on the front here. A long time ago, we used to think you had to really make the car too stiff, but you notice it's getting a lot of travel across the bumps through the corner.
Martin in 16th spot.
6,800, I see. 195 was the top speed I noticed just a second ago. Going in the corner, it scrubs off down to about 187.
Martin closing in on Dave Marcus. Marcus in 15th. There are the leaders another time. Sterling Marlin, who's had some success out here in the 125s. And his dad won the most competitive one ever run back in, 73. 22 lead changes among 6 drivers in that one. Sterling would just as soon not have a race like that today, but he may have one just exactly like that. As you see Lamani staying right steady in 2nd, Earnhardt in 3rd, and they look like they're ready to deliver more when they need it.
And Ken, some of these cars at the back of this draft are beginning to get a little bit racy. Bill Elliott made a move there, moved up a couple of positions. They have to be awfully careful because if they get side by side back there, they can lose the draft very easily.
Ken, we were talking about 3 distinct groups. There's only 2 now. Kyle Petty has moved into the front group. As you notice here, there's no longer 3 big packs. There's only 2.
Merlin, Labonte, Earnhardt, Jarrett, Spencer, the front 5. Michael Waltrip, 6. Dallenbach, Benson, Ward Burton, Kyle Petty. Kenny Wallace take you back to 11th. And look at Robert Pressley pressing on the bottom here. This 2.5 mile Daytona International Speedway in the first Gatorade 125. Qualifier, Marlin, Labonte, Earnhardt, Jarrett duking it out. This draft continuing back through Dallenbach and Benson.
You see Wally Dallenbach here in the 15, just behind Michael Waltrip, going a great run right now. Come down here without a sponsor in the Bud Moore car and doing quite well in the 125 miler.
And right in front of him, the 21, with Michael Waltrip getting the new assignment in that chair. What a job he's doing, staying right up there in the front 5, Ned.
Of course, that's the Wood Brothers car, which has had a lot of success here. David Pearson, I guess the most notable race that he won here was in 1976 when he and Richard Petty crashed in the 500 coming off of turn 4 to get the checkered flag, and Pearson was able to nurse his car across the line. So the Wood Brothers, they're always contenders wherever they go.
Back to 68 for Cale. AJ won for the lead. Back in the days of the maroon, white, and gold colors on that car. There's the front of the group. Kyle Petty battling with Kenny Wallace in the 81.
And Bill Elliott in a Ford helping his Ford buddy Kenny Wallace go by on the outside. Here's the Pontiac of Bobby Hamilton going by Kyle Petty, and so will Lake Speed. Kyle got caught down on the inside, couldn't do anything about it.
It's all back there in 10th position. Bill Elliott working on Kenny Wallace. Wallace had a great qualifying run with this brand new Winston Cup team and a brand new sponsor.
See Kenny Wallace just in front of him. The back of the car is starting to dance around just a little bit. Bill very comfortable though. You can notice that his hands were very still on the steering wheel.
And still, it's stabilized up in front with Marlin, Labonte, Earnhardt, the front three. Dale Jarrett just behind. Remember, he started in the front row, slipped back to 6th or 7th, come back to 4th. Looks like he has more to deliver before this one's over. Earnhardt looking at the inside.
Yeah, he made a move going into turn 1 just a moment ago. He like he wanted to get on the inside of Labonte, couldn't quite pull it off. Labonte moved to the inside of the track and sort of cut him off.
Yeah, every once in a while, these front cars, they're drafting pretty tight right now, and you notice some tape on the front of the car. Some of them might be running just a little bit warm. They duck out like that just before they go in the corner to get a fresh breath of air on that front end of the race car.
Look at Earnhardt making another move. He comes down to the inside, sneaks a peek, trying to take his way through in this incredible shot from the airship. Here he comes.
And Labonte's going to be caught up on the outside there without any drafting help unless Earnhardt can get back between them, and he does. Now here comes Jarrett and Michael Waltrip in the Fords. They're going to see if they can team up together and go by Labonte.
Jarrett giving you these pictures at, 190 miles an hour. As he scoots back up into the 31-degree banking. Comes through 3 and 4.
You know what? I think Earnhardt may have moved over like that and realized he had a lot of draft on the inside. The next corner, he made the move.
Looking at the rear of Dale Jarrett's car.
And you see Michael Waltrip continuing to press toward the lead in this new ride. Front 8 cars still tight together in here. Del McCowart, the only car to be lapped thus far as we work lap 18. There you see that number 15, that white and black numeral car is the Bud Moore car. It's in here on a one race only basis with a one-time sponsor on that car.
You can see that Terry Labonte was hung out to dry, but Benson chose to go with the 5 car down the back straightaway of Terry Labonte, and they should get by Gallenbach on the front straightaway here.
Johnny Benson in that number 30, looking just as smooth as he did in the Grand National a year ago when he won the title there. Came up out of the Midwest, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, the driver of that yellow number 30. Here's Labonte dropping way down the bottom there.
Yeah, I don't think that was planned. I don't know why he moved to the bottom of the racetrack like that, but he dropped way off the pace.
And again, those leaders trying to snap the whip and pull away from the remainder of the field. You can cut that, pare that draft down to 2 or 3 cars. That's what you want to do. Now Labonte is trying to bring them all back together.
I think he'll be able to do it too, Ken. He has a very fast race car. That's what he wanted to do, was get back in front of those other cars, and I think he'll be able to lead them right back up there.
Gatorade 125, caution on the track. Yellow is coming out. And we've got some sprinkles out here that are getting to be more like showers. So they're going to put the caution out. This is going to come at lap 19. It just went into the 20th lap as they put the yellow on the field. CBS Sports coverage of the Gatorade 125s will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Riolo, the king of beers, is proud to provide you these beauty shots of the Daytona International Speedway today. In the 125s, great crowd out under cloudy conditions. I believe we're getting ready on a restart here shortly. Let's summarize again what went on in the pits. The back of the field came in, but the leaders stayed out here on the track and did not pit. Marlin, Earnhardt, Jarrett, Labonte, Michael Waltrip, Dallenbach, the front 6. Benson 7th, Burton, Jimmy Spencer, Bill Elliott to 10th, Lake Speed 11th, Kenny Wallace 12th, Dave Marcus 13th, Mike Wallace. Those guys, they stayed right out here on the track. Those that were outside of that group, they took advantage of the opportunity granted by that quick shower to see what they could do to their car to make it better.
If Sterling Marlin had come in, the whole field would have come in. But since he didn't, the others had to stay out there and keep that track position.
Gatorade 125 ready for resumption. Pace car is off the track. Sterling Marlin leads them down. Sterling Marlin, who was second to Earnhardt. in the 94 125 in which they faced off. Added another time.
Look at Earnhardt come up on Sterling Marlin in the center part of the corner. He had a lot of run on him there, but as you see now, Sterling starting to pull back a little bit.
Earnhardt did have a run on him. Now Dale Jarrett thought he had a run on Earnhardt, but couldn't make any kind of a move.
Everybody pretty much single file then as you look from first to second, second to first, down into turn number 3. Coming around a complete lap number 24, one away from halfway in this 50 lap. 125-mile qualifier. Sterling Marlin to the line. Earnhardt in second. Jarrett tucked into third. Labonte there, and still making a great run. Michael Waltrip in that Wood Brothers car stays 5th in this field. Just behind him, Wally Dallenbach in the Bud Moore Ford stays in 6th. Johnny Benson in the yellow number 30 for Bahari Racing is 7th out here. Running in 8th for Bill Davis.
Who said cars with restrictor plates didn't look fast? Those things are going when they come by that camera just then. I'm going to tell you, that makes you realize just how fast these cars are running here at Daytona.
Buddy, I don't think it's time for them to start showing really what they can do or start too much passing right now. They'll wait till they get down to the last 10 laps. Do you agree?
What I would try, if I was in this front group right now, I'd probably just hold my position. But as Earnhardt says, his car don't like to run second. It likes to run first, and the driver too. So if he gets a break, he will. Look at Bobby Hamilton there up beside Mark Martin on the outside.
Hamilton made a great run at the outset of this race, then fell back a bit. Robert Pressley, he fell way back. Now he's trying to get himself back into this thing. Darrell Waltrip way on the tail end of everybody, back about 23rd or 24th. There's Pressley in the 33 with Mark Martin just in front.
We just saw Bobby Labonte there a moment ago. He is the guy that's on the bubble right now. There he is up in the middle of that pack.
Last man to lead all the way was back in 91 with Davey Allison. Now Sterling Marlin is threatening that way. Here's Mike Joy.
Ken, we knew the leaders would not have to stop for fuel or for tires, but that nobody did signifies that nobody is overheating running in that tight draft. Now with the sun behind the clouds, it's probably 6 to 8 degrees cooler than when we started this race, but these cars don't need to stop to pull tape off those grills. They can maintain maximum downforce and not overheat, so everyone stayed out. Ken?
Taking a look at those front cars right now, they look like they're ready to stay out the whole distance. Run that 125 miles with Marlin, Earnhardt, Jarrett, that front 3.
Well, there are 8 of them in the lead pack now trying to pull away from that second pack, which is headed up by Jimmy Spencer.
On the tail end of that lead draft in 8th place, Ward Burton in the number 22. There you see it just going down there, following along after Benson.
Ward Burton better be careful. You see he's dropping back just a little bit, about another 2 car lengths. He's going to lose that draft, but now he's starting to pull back up on Johnny Benson to get back in that lead draft.
Buddy, unlike the days in the past when I was driving race cars and in the early days of your career, the cars were bigger. They opened up a much wider path in the air. These cars are so aerodynamic now. Like you say, if you get just a couple of car lengths behind, you can lose that draft very easily.
7th and 8th, 30 and 22 coming by in this 8-car pack, battling for the lead. Gatorade 125, first round. Further back, there's Darrell Waltrip way out and back in 23rd position. Disappointing for him right now. He'll have to hope for a provisional starting spot the way things are going, unless we get one of those calamities like we had in 94 when they tore out 8 of them in the center of the race. Back up with the leaders.
Ken, the guy that's in trouble right now, one of them at least, there's several, but one of them is Kyle Petty. I don't think Kyle's speed was good enough to get him in this race unless something very dramatic happens. And Kyle has fallen all the way back to the rear of the pack, currently being shown in 24th position.
Leaders coming back to the stripe another time. The guy on the bubble at the moment is Bobby Labonte in the 18 car.
Here's Earnhardt going for the lead.
There. Earnhardt pulls it back in front. And here comes Dale Jarrett right with him. It's the Dale and Dale Show another time here at Daytona.
Okay, now who's Terry Labonte going to go with? Is he going to go with his Chevrolet buddy? Is he going with Dale Jarrett, or is he going to try to pass both of them?
Well, right now they're pretty much in line, but you see this great racing right here. There's racing all the way back. There goes Dale Jarrett into second place. Whoa, Terry Labonte drifts up a little bit. You see Mike Waltrip looking on the bottom side, but he does not have enough room to make that move.
CBS Sports coverage of the Gatorade 125s will continue in a moment.
You ever hear anyone talk about life like you gotta chew it up?
Once again, Gatorade sponsoring the Front Runner Reward Program. Gatorade will award a $10,000 bonus to the leader of each Winston Cup race at the halfway point, and $50,000 to the Winston Cup point leader at the halfway point of the season. Take a look at the running order out here as Earnhardt and Jarrett keep it a Chevy Ford battle up in front.
And as those cars have singled out, they're coming back up, and here comes Marlin, just showing how strong his Chevrolet is.
Sterling Marlin all the way back up in there for second place.
Jarrett was able to fall back in third. He sort of snuck in there ahead of Terry Labonte. Labonte perhaps had to let off just a little bit.
And look at the 22 down to the inside. Now you're beginning to see Burton begin to roll out there. Ward Burton out of South Boston, Virginia. Very smooth driver. Won his first Winston Cup race a year ago, Rockingham, North Carolina. Looking really good.
You know, Jimmy Spencer was fighting to get back in this group, but when they started running 2x2, he moved right in very close to getting in the back of Benson there, coming through turn 2.
Look at Ward Burton in the 22. Bring that Bill Davis car up through traffic net.
Yes, there were 8 cars in the lead draft, and Ward Burton was at the rear of it. Now he's all the way up to 5th position, and as Buddy said, that second group of cars has caught up to him, so there's, I don't know, looked like about 15 or 20 in that lead draft.
Boy, there were 3 wide back in that group there. That's a very treacherous way to get around this racetrack, but we've seen it in practice all week long. They can run 3 wide all the way around this racetrack.
Battle back there in 15th is a dandy. And they got another shower out here on the track. Let's see if it's going to bring out a caution. For the moment, Lake Speed in the number 9, the Melling car, is running in that 15th position. 15th, the cutoff point, with Earnhardt already having qualified. They pick up 14 more. Earnhardt on the pole for the first time in his career, getting ready for that 38th annual Daytona 500 here on CBS. Who else is beginning to rocket up through this thing? Mark Martin in the number 6.
He made a pit stop.
Yeah, was 20th. And look at him come along. What's that? 8th position out there now? Keep an eye on him.
Ken, one of the reasons Mark Martin's moving up like he is, he knew he didn't have a fast car for qualifying, but this car has a lot of downforce. This part of the race now, the cars really need to handle around this racetrack, and the better handling race cars will come to the front.
34 laps complete.
I don't think Mark Martin's qualifying speed was good enough to get him in this race.
Look at the rain on the back straightaway there. Boy, when you go through there just for a second, you go, uh-oh, I hope this is just in this little spot here.
Not in the turn.
Looks a little dicey out there. See Lake Speed take that number 9 up high. John Benson finds a hole on the bottom, pulls up beside Bobby Hamilton in that silver 25th anniversary for its sponsor, number 43, Petty Engineering.
I think Johnny Benson's dropping back because of the rain, but he's run up front all the way.
He touches him. I think Benson got together with Bobby Hamilton.
I think he dropped back momentarily when it started raining, and these guys that run week in, week out in Winston Cup, they don't back off anything as long as that green's out.
Yellow is out once again.
They'll race back to the start-finish line. This will be a break for Kyle Petty. He wasn't too far, less than half a lap from going a lap down.
And this is a key move coming back to this line at this point in the race. Shower. Let's see what's going to be the look of this field as they come to the line. I guess everybody's got their hand up. It looks like they backed out of it as soon as they come to the stripe.
Yeah, these guys, they don't really race back to the flag as hard as they used to. It's much of a gentleman's agreement that they kind of stay in line when they come down towards the caution.
It's always one that decides not to be a gentleman, however. You know how that goes.
His name is Caution.
Earnhardt, Marlin, Jarrett, Terry Labonte staying right up here in front with Ward Burton. A little further back, Michael Waltrip right in there, Dallenbach, Martin, Jimmy Spencer, all having good runs.
The big Gatorade 125s is sponsored by Goodyear, #1 in tires. Texaco Haviland Formula 3 motor oil controls volatility and fights vaporization. And by Dynomax, performance exhaust systems engineered by Walker.
Let's reset the field for you as they get ready on a restart. Earnhardt, Marlin, Jarrett, Labonte running up in front with Ward Burton fifth. And Michael Waltrip in this thing, Dallenbach, Mark Martin having a good run. Jimmy Spencer all ready for a go. Everybody ready for a go here at Daytona. The car that was on the bubble in 15th place, Lake Speed. Now on pit road, he'll have to come from the rear of the field. Car number 9 getting ready on a restart here at Daytona. Second shower, it's still a little damp out here, but they're going to turn them loose. And when they do, you'll have Earnhardt in front. Sterling Marlin in second. Dale Jarrett in third. Terry Labonte is in fourth with Ward Burton fifth. Michael Waltrip sixth. Dallenbach seventh on this restart. This means that jumping up into the 15th spot will be car number 7, Jeff Bodine. Bodine will be on the bubble. There's Sterling Marlin's crew, and there you see Tony Glover, mustachioed gentleman right there, who's on the radio to Sterling. He's been telling him to take a look at that number 3.
Just be smart now. Use your head. You know where you can pass him.
See number 9 catching up to the field. Talking Sterling Marlin into this restart. 12 to go.
I wonder if he'd tell us where he's going to pass it. Said he knows where he's going to pass it.
Chances of that are slim and none.
So Jeff Bodine is in 15th, and in 16th is Robert Pressley. In 17th is Bobby Hillen. 18th is Kenny Wallace further back in this field as they continue to fight it out to get themselves into the Daytona 500, the great American race. 38th annual edition, flag to flag on CBS, Sunday, 12 noon Eastern. Restart of this Gatorade 125.
Well, Ken, it's about to the stage of the race where you're not going to see people just sitting there from now on. They're going to start trying to make their moves here pretty quick to get up near the front if they plan to win this thing.
In that shower, Kenny Wallace pitted. We saw Kyle Petty on pit road, as well as Bobby Labonte. Strategy here, gentlemen?
Well, there is no strategy. What you have to do is try to position yourself with somebody that's very aggressive so you can make that move near the end of the race.
Just put that pedal to the metal, as they say, and hope for the best. There they go, 3 wide into the turn.
You see Mark Martin there looking underneath the 15 car there, Dallenbach. He's got a lot of race car, but I think right now he's real happy with the position he's in on the racetrack.
Peeling off the laps. 10 to go. Can Earnhardt, 7 straight 125, 7 years in a row? He tried to roll a 7. Look at this battle further back. There's Robert Pressley on the inside, Bodine on the outside. That's the battle for the bubble. That's for 15th spot.
And Bobby Labonte coming up there in the Joe Gibbs car. That's the green number 18. He made a pit stop, put on 4 tires during the rain caution.
Some kind of running back there.
See the 11 car there, that's Brett Bodine. He needs to really run really hard right now because I don't think his time is fast enough to get in there.
That's right. I don't think his speed would get him in the race if he doesn't finish in the top 15 here today.
Robert Pressley moves up through. Johnny Benson coming with him. Bill Elliott getting caught up in this group as they run them 2 and 3 wide on that 31-degree banking. Take a look at that, folks. 15th and 16th, 7 and 11 right now. The 7 of Jeff Bodine, the 11 of his brother. Get beat by anyone, but the one guy you don't want to get beat by is your brother. There's with that 11 just dropping back a little, leaving room for Pressley.
Bobby Hamilton there in the Richard Petty, number 43. He's battling pretty hard himself right at the moment.
And there they all are. All of them. 20 strong in the same straightaway, about a second apart in this first Gatorade 125. Earnhardt continuing to lead. Just as much suspense back there for that 15th spot as there is in this battle. See if Earnhardt can win it 7 straight times.
Jarrett moving right up on the back bumper of Sterling Marlin there. He has a lot of race car. I think that a little bit of time he had to cool his tires a little bit, Ned. I think may have brought him right back in the fight here.
Before the caution came out, he was slipping just a little bit, but he seems to have stabilized now.
Look at Pressley fight Jeff Bodine in that black number 7.
Whoa! You guys are going to make me fall out of the chair up here.
Lean on me. I tell you.
Boy, that is some close racing.
Hey, Ned, the boys just got to have fun.
Yeah, they got to try to get in the Daytona 500.
You see him weaving back and forth down the back straightaway, utilizing.
And here's trouble.
Back straightaway, one in the wall hard, and it catches the 18. Puts Bobby Labonte up and over, and that's Brett Bodine's number 11. They got hammered on the outside, apparently into the wall, and Jeff Bodine, his brother's in it as well. You can see 4 cars all snarl as they race back to the stripe. Earnhardt in front, Sterling Marlin across in second, and Dale Jarrett coming across in third.
There's Bobby Labonte out of his car.
Bobby Labonte, as they fought for that 15th position, has to walk away from one after he takes a tumble.
Bobby has a speed good enough to get him in the Daytona 500.
But Joe Gibbs' team is not having a good week down here. They've gone to their own engine program, and they have been struggling.
And there's Brett Bodine out of his car.
And he'll be out of the 500.
I don't believe there's much of a chance that he will be in it. And for the first time, he bought that team from Junior Johnson. The first time since this racetrack opened back in 1959, Junior Johnson is not here.
That ought to be some ride in that wagon. Where is Jeff Bodine? You can see them being a little animated.
Continue on.
He did continue. He landed on the inside and came around.
See a lot of damage there on the front end of the 11 car, Brett Bodine. What a bad weekend. He caught on fire in practice here and got in the wall. Now he's crashed another car.
And down here you see Bobby Hillen working the 77 on pit road. Trying to get it ready to come back out.
He had a lot of damage on the right rear corner of that car. He must have got in that as they were spinning over there.
Yeah, there's that damage as he comes back out. Now they're clearing up that back straightaway as quickly as possible and trying to get this race to finish under green. Some observations about this incident in the back straightaway, folks.
Okay, that's Bobby Hillen in the car 77 down on the inside. It looks like he and Brett Bodine got together. That's where that damage on the right rear of Hillen's car came from. They got together, spun down to the inside. Bobby Labonte is going to come along and try to go on the inside of him. Lake Speed does get by down there, but Jeff Bodine gets caught up in it. So does Kenny Wallace in car number 81. Here comes Bobby Labonte. He's going to hit the Brett Bodine car, roll over on his top, slide down the track on his top, then it'll flip back onto the wheels.
That had to be an eternity for Bobby Labonte. You could see him lock it up in the 18 and try to fight his way to the bottom to get out of this mess.
Here goes Bodine on the outside. He makes contact there on Bobby Hillen, right on the right rear corner, and then they make contact.
And Jeff did get tagged. Here goes Kenny Wallace.
Down in the grass there. He was very, very lucky to make it through there.
Yeah, Kenny Wallace just getting through, and Bobby Labonte. Now watch this.
He did everything he could do.
But for a fraction of a second, he was through that one, and that's the result.
You know, sometimes you can do everything right and get caught just like he did there. He could not hit the grass at 200 miles an hour and save the car, so he went as low on the racetrack as he possibly could, and they made contact on the back straightaway.
Kenny Wallace car on pit road. Now, they had a good time, and look at the nose blunted on that car, and they'll make it into the race for sure. Here's Mike.
Kenny Wallace has climbed down. It looks like you hit a wheel, the dirt embankment, or everything.
I don't know. It all started coming off of turn 4, the lap before. I guess somebody got into Bodine.
Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Just pride hurt, that's all. I couldn't go nowhere. I had a good run going on the top side there, and ended up Brett Bodine got into Bobby Hill in there. They were shaking fists at each other going down the straight, so I don't know.
Dick Berggren?
Well, Jeff Bodine's crew is ready for him to come in. He's not going to have much time to do any work, but they've got the hammers out and they've got the sheet metal shears out. They're ready to put some new tires on it. They also want to reset the roof flaps. But they keep looking down pit road. Here comes the car finally. Jeff Bodine is in. One of the mechanics does that work. Right front corner of this car is well torn up. Will hurt you a ton at Daytona, where aerodynamics is so important.
Oh, that's
cheap. Paul Andrews still working on it.
They may be able to stand on their time and make it in. See what's going on back behind the wall here. There's Kenny Wallace's car being pushed back. You saw the Petty crew there. They must be ecstatic. Bobby Hamilton back into 15th spot and on the bubble here. And here comes Bodine out to give it another shot. His optimism is up. The old glint is back in his eye this year. That sure took the wind out of his sails.
That's Bobby Hillen back in the pits. They're still trying to get some of the sheet metal off the tires there before the race starts back.
And they're getting ready to start back, buddy. There'll only be just a few laps to go. In fact, when they get the green flag, there'll only be 3 more laps to go. So it's going to be a real shootout.
And Midland, Texas, Bobby Hillen is going to come out for those final 3 in a bruised and battered number 77. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. 3 laps, 7.5 miles to go. The big story here, the man on the bubble as well as who's up front. Bobby Hamilton's there in the number 43 and 15th. Blake Speed 16th, Kyle Petty 17th, trying to take it away from him. For the finale in the first Gatorade 125. Earnhardt leads him down with Marlin, Jarrett, Terry Labonte, Ward Burton all in there. Look at this scramble out back for that 15th spot.
Wow. Oops. Robert Pressley right in the middle gets into Johnny Benson.
That was Hut Strickland in the 8 car there that went all the way down on the flat with the left side. Boy, they want to get in this race in the worst way if you don't have enough speed to get in the race.
4 wide.
Kyle Petty making a move on the inside. That's Blake Speed on the outside.
And look at this battle for the lead. Here comes Sterling.
Sterling's going to try on the outside now. You see Earnhardt going up the racetrack. This may work for Jarrett, though, on the bottom side to move up.
Well, he made that car. Yeah, he made that car handle on the bottom, and the clash, and there he is diving into 2nd spot. Perfect move by Dale Jarrett. And here comes Terry Labonte right back into it. Sterling stuck in 4th position now, and look at this battle down there.
That's Marlin making a move on the bottom side of Sterling Marlin there. He looks like he's going to make the pass there. Coming in. No, he didn't make it. Here comes Sterling fighting back on the outside.
And on the inside, number 22 is in it another time. Take a look at Burton flying up through this field.
And look at that 4 car come up on those guys. He's going to have a head of steam when he catches Dale Jarrett. I believe he'll blow right by him. Besides that, he's mad.
But you see Ward Burton there, his time is not good enough to get him in the race. So he is racing to get in the Daytona 500.
He's in good shape if he can just hold on in that
white flag
period.
Excuse me, last lap. This is for it. And Bobby Hamilton back to 15th, holding that position to qualify. That is some slugfest.
See Bill Elliott there in the 94 on the bottom side. On the outside, Robert Pressley. Just in front of him is Dave Marcus there in the 71 car. Here comes Johnny Benson up. Ooh, here goes.
Passing the grass on this one. Here comes Dale Jarrett. Here comes Sterling Marlin for turn 3.
See Terry Labonte trying on the outside to stay in behind Sterling Marlin as they come off. I believe Dale Earnhardt may win this thing.
And if he does, he's rolled to seven straight 125s. Coming down for the finish. They make him triple wide to the line. You can give that one to Earnhardt. 7 straight years he's won a 125. When it comes to the rest of it, put up that old line too close to call. We'll wait for the official announcement on that 15th spot. But make no mistake about it, the man in black is back. And he intends to do business in the Great American Race. A look at the final results on this one. And we'll be going to victory lane with the Intimidator himself, Earnhardt. That's coming up after these messages.
I think we'll run a great race. Ward Burton in 7th there. He really had to do what he did because he didn't have fast enough time to make the 500, so he raced himself into a good starting spot for the Daytona 500.
See Johnny Benson finishing in 14th as we continue to look back through the results on this first 125. Bobby Hamilton in 17th, stand on his speed. Waltrip, he'll have to look for a provisional out here for the 500. And let's take a look at some of the highlights from that first 125 miler.
Ken, there was one major accident coming off of turn 2. You see the white number 77 of Bobby Hillin on the inside, Brett Bodine in the blue and yellow 11 car. They get together. Bodine spins around. He was hit by his brother Jeff Bodine, and Hillin continues to spin around. And as Brett Bodine continues down the racetrack, has no control of his car, here comes Bobby Labonte in the car number 18. He thought he had him cleared, hit him just enough to flip his car over on the roof. Then it does right itself back on all 4 wheels.
Bobby Labonte's car dug in pretty hard, rang his bell, but all the drivers walked away from this, and on speed, Bobby Labonte's in the race, as is Brett Bodine. Now look at this pass for the lead.
Dale Earnhardt moving up on Sterling Marlin. He moves to the inside, and that is a key pass.
And let's join that man who made that pass, Dale Earnhardt, in victory lane with Mike Joy.
7-time Winston Cup champion, and now 7 straight 125-mile race victories for Dale Earnhardt. Well, Dale, you said this car liked it out front, and that's where you put it.
Well, it did, and I got to thank Scott D. Young and all the guys back shot Spinny Clinton. This is the engine that we ran in the Busch Classic. We were so down in the mouth about after the race, and we got it tuned up in this car here. This is the car it likes, and I got to hand it to them guys. They worked awful hard over the winter, and we got a great engine, a good race car. The guys did a great job testing everything, so it's all coming together here for, and I was really happy to keep that streak of 125s alive. That's pretty impressive.
Looked like everybody clotheslined Sterling when he made his move. Everybody went with you.
Well, it was a race of heads there at the end. It was just ever who's going to work with who. Sterling's car was awful strong, and I think he had the car to beat. It's just we got back in front, and then we shook him out of the draft with the cars racing him. So we were fortunate they got to racing each other. We wouldn't have won it. Sterling would have won it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
In 37 years, you can count on one hand the guys who have launched themselves from the 125 to win the 500. The last man to do it did it just a year ago, and he's standing by with Dick Berggren right now. Here's Sterling Marlin.
Sterling Marlin is in the gas pump area. Sterling second. Is it okay to finish second in these 125s when the car is still in one piece?
I guess it is. We like to win the race, and the car worked off good early, and it worked all good the whole time. And they got under me, shoved me back, and we just never could get a run at Dale like we needed. You get to him, and he'd make a back end real wide. But we got the best motor in the truck waiting on Sunday, and we should be in good shape. Car drove awful good, and that's what we need.
What do you think about Sunday?
Well, we're just going to keep our fingers crossed. Like today's really encouraging. The car run 50 laps, and the chassis never changed, drove awful good. And like I said, we got the best stuff laid in the truck, so we'll see what happens.
Ken Squire?
Speaking of what's happening, take a look right here at what CBS has planned this year for NASCAR racing. CBS expands its NASCAR schedule in '96. Tomorrow for sure, the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. In June, Michigan. In July, from Talladega, the Diehard 500. The Grand National schedule on CBS this year includes Watkins Glen, New York, Talladega, Alabama, and the season finale at Miami on November 3rd. And this year, the trucks come to CBS. And also on November 3rd, their grand finale from Las Vegas. That's on CBS, the best of NASCAR in '96. It's a great schedule. Hey, we got a great race upcoming. The second qualifier. Your way into the Daytona 500s right here, right now. starting grid for the second Gatorade 125. The pole, the comeback kid, Ernie Irvan at number 28. And the dark horse, Jeremy Mayfield, number 98. Row 2, defending Winston Cup champion, Jeff Gordon and Rick Mast. Row 3, twice a winner in the 125s, Ken Schrader. And last week's winner of the ARCA 200 here, Jeff Purvis. Row 4 is Jeff Burton and John Andretti. Row 5, Joe Nemechek and Loy Allen Jr. Row 6 is Morgan Shepherd and Ricky Rudd. Row 7, twice a runner-up in the 125s, Rusty Wallace and Steve Grissom. Row 8 is Chad Little and Derek Koch. Row 9, Ted Musgrave and Joe Ruttman. For row 10, it's Jim Bowd and Elton Sawyer. Row 11, last year's Rookie of the Year, Ricky Craven and Chuck Bowd. Row 12 is Dick Trickle and Jim Sauter. And out back will be Tracy Leslie. Field ready for the second Gatorade 125-mile qualifier here at the 2.5-mile World Center of Speed with 25 cars to compete here. Now remember, Ernie Irvan is already in the field. 14 drivers in each 125 transfer to Sunday's 500. They're in starting positions 3 through 30. And Ernie is already there.
Again, an interesting point. 7 out of the last 10 Daytona 500 winners have come from the second Gatorade 125 qualifying race.
Now, do you believe in those kind of numbers, Baker?
I know one thing. What we can look for here, we're going to look for a great race because there's some really good race cars up front. I don't believe in superstition when it comes to 500-mile races.
Well, folks, you write this one down because if you're in the company pool, Ned Jarrett, he isn't wrong very often. This is the race to watch for the win. Here we go, folks, with Ernie Irvan. And then the dark horse, Jeremy Mayfield, up on the outside, and then Cale Yarborough, number 98. The comeback story of sports this year, Ernie Irvan leading this field down.
Rusty Wallace back there making 3 deep.
Getting racy real early. Rusty Wallace in the number 2. Here's Jeff Gordon trying to make a move early.
He's right on. You see him pulling high gear as they start down the back straightaway there. You see him coming down. He's looking under the 28. Not enough room to make that pass.
Rick Mast gets a ride and pulls up through Jeremy Mayfield, hung out to dry. Slipping back.
Jeff Purvis in the car number 44 caught in the middle there. This car was a little loose.
That's the red and white number 44. You see it right there, Jeff Purvis, the Phoenix car, still loose.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be. You get the least amount of air in the center there of anywhere on the racetrack. There's another 3 wide battle.
Nothing holding him down.
Ned, you're exactly right. His car is moving around quite a bit in the center part there. I know he would like to be able to move to the high side of the racetrack and get out of that dilemma there.
He just did it.
Won the ARCA 200 a week ago here at Daytona, Jeff Purvis. Meanwhile, up in front, it's Irvan. Now Mast looking for a shot at the lead. That would give Pontiac. Oh, wow. Pull back up on 24. And Jeff Gordon, he had his heart in his throat for a second.
Could it be team cars working together? You see Jeff Gordon there in the 24 and Kenny Schrader in 25. They seem to be drafting right along, trying to catch up on Ernie Irvan.
They got a tremendous run of steam going into turn 3. In fact, Jeff Gordon almost ran over Rick Mast. He had to make an evasive move to keep from hitting him. He was going so fast.
And that Pontiac number 1, Rick Mast, falls back now. Irvan stays first, Gordon second, Schrader third, Mayfield in the 98, hanging right onto this thing. And Schrader. That's a rejuvenated guy. Ray Evernham taking over to run that team. And he's right behind Jeremy Mayfield, right behind Schrader.
You see the 98 of Jeremy Mayfield. He was the fastest car in practice all through the winter sessions, and that car has been strong all week long.
Had a tremendous qualifying speed, 4th fastest overall.
Race day, Phil Hammer takes over down on pit road in that 25, and Evernham moves on to the 24. They could well be a major part of the story in the 38th annual 500. CBS Sports coverage of the Gatorade 125s will continue in a moment. Proud to provide you these pictures from more than 1,000 feet above the speedway.
Well, Ernie Irvan's really pulling them around here very fast right at the moment. You see back in the pack here, they're side by side. That's Loy Allen Jr. in the 19 there trying to get back in, but he's caught in the middle just as we saw a car earlier in the race. This is Elton Sawyer in the 27 moving up.
Now, he had a good qualifying speed. He qualified on the second day of qualifying, which was on Monday, but he borrowed or rented an engine from Cale Yarborough, and he is moving right on up through there. It's Elton Sawyer we're talking about, the car number 27.
And that car on the outside, number 80, Joe Ruttman, almost ran over the top of Loy Allen there for a moment as they came into 4.
Yeah, Joe Ruttman told me before the race today, he said, I don't have any choice. I have to run the race of my life to get in because my speed isn't fast enough to get in on its own.
He qualified just over 181 miles an hour, and that won't get you in the Daytona 500.
Further back in this pack, look at Rusty Wallace getting sorted out in car number 2. He's had a second place here, being shown in 19th at the moment and trying to come up. Right in front of him, Joe Nemechek in the 87.
See Joe Nemechek out of the groove just a little bit, running down there by himself. The cars on the outside will just keep on going by him. He's trying to get back in, almost contact there between the cars. They will not let him back in line.
And that green car in there is that new Morgan Shepherd ride.
New for Morgan is the Butch Mock Motorsports team. They have a new sponsor on it this year. See how far back the car number 1 of Rick Mastfell when he was running in second place, and he got shuffled back out of the lead draft and went all the way near to the back.
The 63 car you see there, that's Dick Trickle. They did not get to practice all winter long or anything, and they've really made this car very competitive in 1 week's time down here. You see him moving right along here. He has to also run a race of his life to get in on time also.
Record-setting crowd here at Daytona looking on these Gatorade 125, second race underway. Here are the leaders as you watch Irvan out in front, Gordon in second, Schrader is third, Jeremy Mayfield maintaining fourth, and John Andretti beginning to show some power. The Kranifus Haas car, that Ford is beginning to ramble. Andretti up into fifth.
Ernie Irvan is still pulling that train around here faster than the qualifying speed for the Daytona 500.
Ward Burton's brother Jeff is now in the 6th position in this race. Some incredible times on this event. 14-1 compression engines in Winston Cup racing this year. And what a difference it's made. Stacks them right up.
Last time around, over 190 miles an hour for Ernie Irvan.
Ned, when you get pulled around here at 190 miles an hour, there's really not much any need to pull out and make it trying to go to the lead because Ernie Irvan's really taking these guys for a ride right now.
I don't think there's another car out there that can run that fast. So, yeah, they just want to hang on.
Look at Chuck Bound right in behind Rusty Wallace trying to make his way through underneath Chad Little's number 97 up on the outside. That's Wallace on the inside. And they get him 3 wide. Ooh! Wallace got tagged. He's still trying to get it back. He took pit road. And he's wide open, but that was the only choice he had. He got throttled coming down out of turn number 4. We got to look at that one again, folks. Holy smokes. It looked like he was on his way.
That was probably the most heads-up driving I've ever seen anybody do on the front straightaway. Had he gotten the grass then, trying to stay in with that group there, he would have certainly wrecked. He went down pit road at close to 190 miles an hour.
Saved his car and kept on trucking.
He's lost the draft, but he's still out there.
And he's still got a race car. Take a look at this replay of what happened to Rusty Wallace.
That's Rusty Wallace on the inside there, the second car.
Joe Ruttman, I think, is it?
Oh, he got tagged in the back there.
Bound. There's Ruttman's car next to Bound.
Wow.
You're right, buddy. That was a great piece of driving. Heads up driving by Rusty Wallace.
Dick Berggren.
Don Miller, Rusty Wallace's team manager, says the car is just fine, but I'll tell you, he was hanging on to his heart when he watched that car come down pit road. He says, now we just got to tell him to calm down and take it easy. The problem with that is he's lost the draft. He's well back.
He's 24th. Irvan stays first, Gordon in second. Kenny Schrader into third. And the guy everybody's talking about, Jeremy Mayfield. That's the name to write down, think about for the future. In Cale Yarborough's car, a year-old car, one they brought here last season, having a whale of a race.
See Morgan Shepherd beginning to run a little bit higher line there. That normally means the car is pushing a little bit or having a little bit of handling problems. So I'm sure he would like to have that car handling just a little bit better so he could stay on the bottom and then the draft a little tighter.
Ken, you were talking about Jeremy Mayfield, car number 98. We got a report that his car is beginning to heat up a little bit, running a little bit warmer than he wants to.
There's that Morgan Shepherd. There's the look of Morgan Shepherd. 4 in 1996, and right behind him you see Purvis.
You could see that car pushing just a little bit up out of the corner then, Ned, but he does like a tight race car, so it might be doing just what he wants it to do.
Jeff Purvis is in 7th in the 44. Ricky Rudd in the 10 is in 8th. Then Jeff Burton is 9th. Steve Grissom is in 10th. And back on the bubble is Joe Nemechek. CBS Sports coverage of the Gatorade 125s will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Hyundai 500 here with Ernie Irvan leading, Jeff Gordon, Schrader, Mayfield, Shepherd. That front 5 all tight together.
Well, Morgan Shepherd's giving that car a good ride. He is now running in 5th place, and I mean, he has not given up any ground whatsoever. Just a little bit higher, but you see he's able to pull that car right down on the white line when he needs to. So he's just letting the car free through the corner, saving those tires for that last little bit of run.
But the story of this race is Salinas, California's Ernie Irvan in this car 28. 10% chance of living through the night back in 1994 in July after that terrible crash in Michigan. And here he is back looking in championship form here, holding Gordon. Gordon taking a look on the inside. It's a Ford Chevy battle up in front of the second Gatorade 125 and Ken Schrader, who just had the most miserable year last year, back up there in third and looking very strong right now and giving us these pictures of the leaders, Ned.
Ned, who would you say he's pulling for right now? Ray Evernham works on both these cars. He's overseer on both cars to make sure they're as good as they possibly can be. Who would you say he's pulling for at this moment?
I think he's pulling for both of them. Of course, he's still the crew chief on the 24, so he's with him all the time at the racetracks and on pit road.
And there's Jeremy Mayfield hanging it right in there. Tony Furr, the crew chief on this car. That's just a basic old race car. Nothing fancy. Just get it done. Reminds you a lot of the old Junior Johnson combination.
Whatever it is, it's moving quite well. And Jeremy Mayfield, you talk about a kid that's on the way to the top. He's on his way.
Well, he's still among the top 4 at the present time. Jeff Gordon showing the patience of a champion at 24. The Winston Cup champion made $4 million last year. Take a look further back. Getting closer to where the bubble action is here. That one that will and one that won't. Chuck Brown, that red and white car, and just in front of him.
That's Steve Grissom there in the Hanna-Barbera car. You see all those little characters on the side there as he goes around the racetrack. Right now, nobody cares what's on there as far as colors, though. He needs to go pretty hard.
Mike Joy.
Ray Evernham, the cars you worked on all week are running 2nd or 3rd. How much tougher has it made your job supervising 2 teams?
Well, I've got a lot of good people behind me, so that makes it a lot easier. And, you know, I've got kind of mixed emotions because my cars are running 2nd and 3rd, but it's awful nice to see Ernie out front again. So, you know, it's a good picture right now, but maybe as it gets closer to the 50th lap, I'd like to see one of our cars out front.
That's very diplomatic.
Yeah.
Ernie Irvan has other feelings about that. Brought him out, ran a truck race last year, ran the Winston Cup at the end of the season. Look at Dick Trickle in that 65, that blue car up on the outside. He's given that thing a great ride. He is being shown at the present time 15th on the field, 15 laps down.
I don't know what's wrong with Joe Nemechek, but he is going back through the field. The car must not be handling very well.
They say there's some smoke coming out of number 63, Dick Trickle's car.
So we saw those cars up front beginning to, there you see a little smoke out of that car, beginning to shuffle around. Morgan Shepherd trying to move on the outside of Jeremy Mayfield.
Mayfield getting caught.
About 3 laps ago, Jeff Purvis pulled out and tried to make a pass on Morgan Shepherd. It didn't work for Jeff. You see him way back at the back of this group of cars. He almost lost the draft.
Mayfield sidetracked, and the train stays up on that top line.
Well, John Andretti moving in there, the back car there. That's how the draft really works here. And watch him just come right on by Jeremy Mayfield, who was very comfortable in fourth and just got caught out a little bit and just moved right to the back of that pack.
There's Jeff Gordon riding with him right on the back bumper of Ernie Irvan.
You can see by the twitch in the back of the 28 car there that Ernie Irvan's not on a Sunday day roll around here. He's having to work pretty hard. That car is moving around just a little bit. I would suspect that right now all the guys are really going to school as to what they need for the 500, but still winning the 125 is very prestigious.
Here comes Schrader to the outside. 4nd spot, teammates side by side. Boy, the last time they were like that coming out of turn 2 that we remember, Talladega, remember that incident?
Now, Jeff needs to fall in behind him, but he didn't. He's going to try to pass him back. If those teammates, like they did in the Busch Clash, they got to racing each other, and it cost them.
Schrader big at Talladega. End over end, side over side 12 times, but this time he's there getting some help from Shepherd.
Yeah, and I believe the upper groove is faster than right around the base of the racetrack right now. That worked for Dale Jarrett in the Busch Clash, and a lot of these guys that are going to the outside are just blowing by.
And boy, look at Jeff Gordon is going backwards. Look at those cars go by him on the outside. He's caught down there and can't do a thing in the world about it.
There goes Jeff Burton by. Jeff Gordon will end up in the back of this pack.
And now look at Gordon come back on that corner. He tries to pick up a couple of spots.
57 there is Jim Bound. He struggled really all week long with this car, and it's just not up to speed. He's going a lap down to the lead cars.
3 wide for that 15th position. There you see the 63 Triple. Musgrave is in there. Loy Allen, Chuck Bound, Jim Bound's brother in that 95 up on the outside. This is the war to make it into the race. A lot of them are going to go back on the trailer when this is over and start a very lonely ride home.
Boy, Dick Trickle just passed Ted Musgrave. I mean, that's quite a feat. That's one of Jack Roush's cars, and Trickle's put this race team together in about a week here, and he's right up there moving on.
15th is then 19, Loy Allen, and 16th is 95, Chuck Bound, as they continue that war. Even across to make it into the race.
Apparently that little smoke we saw from Dick Trickle's car is not affecting the running of it. He's still out there going strong.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Troy Selberg, who is crew chief for Morgan Shepherd in the 75 car, has been making trips down pit road. Right next door is the number 10. Ross Friesinger is the pit road captain. And what Selberg is trying to persuade Friesinger to do is to tell his driver to tuck in. The two of them want to go to the front. And they have made some very staunch progress. They are now running 3rd and 4th, and they are running as a team.
It's the look of Sunday's 500. Irvan, Schrader, Shepherd, Rudd, Burton, plus Andretti, Mayfield, and Gordon. You can throw a hanky over them. For another typical Daytona finish. Gordon peeking down to the inside, looking under Andretti. Going to pick one back, going to get it.
His car really comes off that second turn down on the inside, Gordon's does, but then the others have some momentum up on that outside, and so they just motor right back up by it.
Rutland goes a lap down to number 80. Irvan stays in the lead. Schrader coming after him.
Schrader's car is able to run right on the white line. That may be a factor later on. I notice Ernie Irvan's car is beginning to come off the bottom of the racetrack, maybe a half a car length or so.
But he slowed down almost a second from what they were running about 15 laps ago when they were running faster than pole speed. He was running, he turned some laps at 47.32 and 33. Now he's down to 48.
Here comes Schrader on the inside. He's taking a look. I don't know whether he has the momentum to pull up, though. He does not at the moment.
Shepherd 3rd, Rudd 4th, Jeff Burton 5th. There's John Andretti 6th as you look out from Ken Schrader's view. with the guy leading this race.
See Kenny Frater there. Look how still his hands are through the corner. That means that car is really getting a lot of downforce, everything. Now this is through the dog leg, down the front straightaway. Now as he comes out here, you'll see the #1 corner as they start down this way. When he starts in the corner, watch how smooth his hands are getting into this corner. That car is really working well. You see the white line, that's the base of the racetrack there. It's hugging right around the bottom. Ernie Irvan's car is getting to dance sideways just a little bit.
And you saw that little piece of tape there on Schrader's steering wheel? That means that it's straight up and down. That's when he's going straight. See, now it cuts to the left a little bit.
My car don't drive it good on the highway. I'm watching him go in the corner. Boy, that thing is really getting some downforce.
You feel it in the small of your back? Does it drive you right through the seat?
Oh, it's a good feeling when you have a car that's working that well. You see these guys, though, I don't imagine they're sitting there quite as steady as the others. This is for all the beans here. These guys need this. This is for the bubble right here.
That's for the lead right there. Halfway on the field. The second Gatorade 125. Bobby Allison's number 12 with Derek Cope at the controls.
That's Elton Sawyer there in the 27. Ted Musgrave's in the 16.
Bobby Allison's car is 10th. You see Sawyer in that black and white number 27. He's in 11th. Dick Trickle is in 12th. Musgrave 13th. Chad Little 14th. And the 80 car pulling out of it. Joe Ruttman gave it a good run today in the early going, but something went amiss. Joe Ruttman goes back behind the wall. Stay right here with these leaders as you watch Ernie Irvan bearing down.
Yeah, just watching what they're going through right now, I think that Morgan Shepherd may have the car to beat. He looks very, very good, as does Schrader. So when this thing shakes out, I would look for these cars. If they don't make a bad move and get out of position, these cars are really running well.
They're just past the halfway mark.
But the man to beat right now is Ernie Irvan, and the largest crowd we have ever seen here. The Gatorade 125s is going to erupt if he pulls this off and can stay in front, fend off Schrader, Shepherd, Rudd, Andretti, and the rest of this field.
You don't ever drop your guard here at Daytona. You come here for the speed, 195 mile an hour plus. It's intimidating. That's my kind of race. That's the kind of race I like. I've won here, I've lost here, has so many memories. You know, you just get too comfortable with it, it'll bite you in a minute. The track demands respect. Busch Beers.
Out in front, the man back on the 15th position, holding on to the bubble, is Spokane, Washington's Chad Little, and they're flying.
John Andretti there in the 37th fighting with Jeff Gordon. They need to break this off and get back in line and catch back up to that lead crowd, or they'll lose the draft.
The 99 of Jeff Burton in Woodland. Tail ending this lead draft, and this is where the story is right now in the second Gatorade 125. As you watch Ernie Irvan, who won the 125 in 1994. Whoa, take a look at Gordon once again using turn 1 as a diving board into turn number 2 up there on the high side.
That's that outside groove I was telling you about. You see Ricky Rudd fighting back though, and now he has a little bit of help from John Andretti on the bottom side.
They're this tight together, it's real tactical, Ned.
Yes, it is.
You see Jeremy Mayfield fighting his way back in now. He had lost the draft just a second ago, and now he is back up in the front group.
When those cars got side by side, that allowed him to pick back up in a very quick moment. Ernie Irvan continues to get slower, which is not that unusual. As the tires get worn, then you are going to slow down a little bit more. So he's down now to about 48.60 in elapsed time. And It does look like he's getting a little loose there, buddy.
Yeah, Kenny Schrader's right on the white line all the way through the corner. I'm looking at Irvan. He's beginning to dance sideways just a little bit.
See this big interval opening up there as you saw how much empty racetrack there was from this front group. It's 4 or 5 seconds back to that second pack. It's all right in here.
Here comes Jeff Gordon back under Jeff Burton as they come off the corner there. He makes the move pretty easily there. Talking about Ernie Irvan, he is one of those types of race car drivers that can run sideways all day, though. It does not unnerve him to be a little bit loose, so that don't really bother him at all. He's a hard-nosed race car driver.
No doubt about that. 20 laps to go.
His confidence level is back, and Ernie Irvan is leading in this race with Ken Schrader trying to come off the worst year of his career right after him in second spot. California versus Missouri up in front, Ford versus Chevy, and Morgan Shepherd carrying those Raymock colors on number 75 stays right there in third. Ricky Rudd, who's come here year after year to run in the Daytona 500, had his share of upsets and heartbreaks. Look at him holding on to this one. He could be a major contender to win the 500 on Sunday. Ricky Rudd making his 20th start for the Daytona 500 this year. I'll tell you one thing, at this speed, they all seem to be able to handle the bottom, and they can all work the top. Remember how you used to fight to get down there to the white line, buddy?
Well, a long time ago, if you got down on that white line, you was coming in because the cars didn't stay on the bottom very well at all. They'd slide about 3 lanes wide across through here. These cars are handling quite well. They have a lot of rear spoiler on them, a lot of downforce. You can see every one of these cars. They look like they're in just an absolute line there. They all handle pretty much the same.
What's going to make the difference in the 500?
I think the race will be won in the corner, and what I'm seeing right now, Ernie Irvan's doing quite well down. He's just running his race right now, and if he slows the pace down, they seem to slow down with him. So that's always a sign of a very strong race car when everybody else plays off of you.
I think handling will be the key on Sunday. You got to have a good motor, no doubt about that. But handling, the more you run on this racetrack, the slicker it's going to get, and then certainly 500 miles on Sunday, you better have a good chassis.
Mike Joy.
And Ned, I think help may be even a bigger key. Like Sterling Marlin in the first race, Jeff Gordon is now a victim of his own success. Ray Evernham complained that 3 times Gordon has pulled out to pass. Nobody will work with him. Nobody else wants that car up at the front. Ken?
Good point, Mike. Take a look at this 98 Jeremy Mayfield. I am so impressed with that kid. Just keeps on coming on.
Kenny Schrader just made a look on the outside there as they come through the dog leg. I think right now he's probably sizing him up to see where he has a weakness for later on if they come down to the white flag lap. Where can I pass him? That's what they're looking for right now.
CBS Sports coverage of the Gatorade 125s will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Joining us today over Daytona, Bud One travels the country as the Ariel One ambassador for Anheuser-Busch. And look at this battle for 5th. Andretti, number 37 there. Gordon, number 24. Here comes Mayfield again.
Pretty impressive, Ken. He doesn't have a drafting partner. He went by Jeff Gordon, now trying to go by John Andretti, but can he make it stick?
I think he's pretty much at the mercy of the court there right now because it looks like Jeff Gordon's going to get right up on the back bumper there and push him by.
He had some momentum, which carried him up there, but it isn't going to last. They're going to go right back past him. And while they were doing that, the leaders, the 4 leaders, were able to pull away just a little bit.
My kingdom for a dancing partner. Jeremy Mayfield there.
Yeah, you can count your friends on the racetrack with 10 laps to go on your thumbs.
Here's Mike.
Ken, I got a little concerned when Mayfield dropped to 8th to the tail end of that lead draft and started to lose it. But crew chief Tony First said he's just going back to cool the car and gather things up. He said he'll be fine. He'll get back to the front. He's doing just that, Ken.
Well, let's get Jeff Burton back there with him now. Maybe they can work something out. I wonder if those 2 crew chiefs are talking. It would appear that Schrader is just waiting his time. Just loading up the 12 gauge to take another shot here. Guess we should say that about Morgan Shepherd with his new sponsor. Here he comes in that third spot, and they've just stayed there for the last 15 laps. Been patient, waited this one out. Ricky Rudd looking very strong. So that Ricky was a little frustrated with some of the driving in that final practice yesterday and had some words after it was over.
Well, Ricky will let you know how he feels about things. He's not one of the race car drivers that says that's just racing. He'll go over and talk to somebody if he has to.
And to the main subject if he has to. Got to admire it. You know, we're talking about Ken Schrader. Does he have something left for Ernie Irvan? How about Ernie Irvan? He might have something a little left there right now too.
I was just fixing to say the only person that knows what Ernie Irvan has is Ernie Irvan right at this moment. But you see these two cars, they begin to pull just a little bit in the center part of the corner. I don't know whether Morgan Shepherd's letting them do this, but it looks like they might have a little bit more gusto in the center part of the corner of the straightaway.
Dick Berggren.
Well, what's going on is the drivers have been very concerned during practice about the 3 wide stuff. Because these cars are now so equal, they seem to be able to go through the corners 3 wide. That is a very risky thing to do, and many of them have voiced their concerns about it. Ted Musgrave may have had the best comment of all. He said there are 3 lines on this racetrack. There's a high line, a low line, and a no man's line. Ken Squire?
Nobody's... Oh, Schrader trying that high line for a second. He edged it out. Shepherd pulled it up just a little. Shepherd second back here in '89 in one of these races.
And Rudd now trying to move around Shepherd as Schrader took a look, but those cars running third and fourth are side by side. There they are. Rudd on the inside of Morgan Shepherd, and here comes Jeff Gordon up on the outside. Who's going to win this battle? I think that outside lane will win it, buddy.
Look at Jeff Gordon coming on the outside of Ricky Rudd. I mean, this is a power move, and it's time to make these moves. If Jeff Gordon has anything at all right now, he's got to pull it out of the stocking.
Andretti peeked to the inside on that to try to make it 3 wide. And it was wise to pull back in. Take a look at the car that's now on the bubble out here. That is Jeff Purvis. What a class act he is. Won that ARCA 200, climbed out of that car and said, I've won this for a guy that did more for me than anyone in this game, Neil Bonner.
You see Chuck Bound there in the 95. He's running in 16th spot. Nothing's easy in racing. Believe me, the leaders fight it out, but these guys are fighting just as hard right now for that good starting spot.
Yeah, Chuck Bound's having a great ride in this, and they were having trouble in the earlier part of the week. They've been getting better all the way along. They may make it on time alone.
That's Chad Little in the 97 there trying to move up also. I don't know whether his speed was fast enough to get in or not, but you see him trying to make that move on the bottom there on Chuck Bound as they come out of the corner.
Pulls up a spot. Sterling Cowboy, Chad Little, trying to make it into the 500 out of Spanaway, Washington. Up in front, you've got Irvan still in front, dominating this race, and Schrader willing to wait for the lap that makes the difference, as does Morgan Shepherd, and all of a sudden Jeff Gordon's back in it.
And he's right back in it, no doubt. And if he can get up there on the back bumper of his teammate, you have 3 Fords and 2 Chevrolets in this 5-car pack running up front. And they're going to help each other. But when it gets right down to it, buddy, on that last lap, they forget what brand they're driving.
Well, we've already seen what teammates think of each other when it comes to making moves on the racetrack. Believe you me, like I told you a while ago, when it comes down to 5-6 laps to go, it's every man for himself, no matter who you run for.
But you got to find somebody to make that move to carry on to get you up there.
Well, I'm sure everybody from third place back is expecting Kenny Schrader to make a huge move on the back straightaway and then possibly make it 3 wide going into 3 down here. So that's where the move probably will be made.
Back straightaway now?
I think coming off of turn 2 is when he would try to get a run coming off of there and draft past him on the back straightaway. I agree totally.
No chance to run back in 3. Of course, we don't know what that Ford's going to show.
Yeah, he might not be able to even do that.
And there's the battle, and there's Chad Little up on the outside of that number 97, fighting with Jeff Purvis for that 15th position in this race. They take 14 cars. Ernie Irvan has already secured himself a spot on the outside of the front row. This is a test run for him and some extra cash in the old pocket.
Well, I can tell you right now that Chad Little needs to keep that spot. 183 won't be enough, I don't think, Ned.
I don't think so either.
Finish coming up, and it looks like it may be one for the Gator.
When a traffic jam was two cars in the same time.
Side his second Gatorade 125.
You know, we saw Rusty Wallace make that great move come on pit road when he got tapped off of turn 4. They're just about to put Rusty a lap down. He's been out there running by himself, no drafting partner whatsoever. And
his time will be good enough to get him into the 500.
Well, if it doesn't, he'll have a former Winston Cup champion provisional.
But there's only one of those.
There's only one of those, but he's one of the later ones to win the championship, and that's what counts.
True. And that means Waltrip could be in trouble.
That's exactly right. Rusty Wallace won the championship in 1989.
See Morgan Shepherd taking another look on the high side there. He does that every once in a while. I just wonder if he's just trying to find out if he could make that move on the outside on the last lap.
Dick
the answer
Berggren.
then was no.
Dick Berggren.
I'm with Gary Cogswell. You're Chad Little's team manager. You got any rabbits you can pull out of the hat for this thing?
Well, I don't know. Right now, Chad said he's got a real handful out there, but we're running right now on the last transfer spot. So hopefully he can hang on and we'll get in the big one.
Ken Squire?
There's the story with the guy that has that number 97 together. And for the moment, he is there in the 15th position in front of Purvis in the 44. Let's get back with the leaders another time as we watch Irvan and Schrader setting up here.
Jeff Gordon just moved on the outside of Morgan Shepherd, took over that third spot, so he has his teammate right there with him now. That number 24 and 25 out of the same shops, Hendrick Motorsports.
Ed, he has a strong race car. He went by Morgan Shepherd on the outside without any help whatsoever. Just pulled out and went on.
Mike Joy.
And, buddy, that's exactly what Ken Schrader was waiting for, to get that Ford of Morgan Shepherd out from between he and his Hendrick Chevy teammate, Jeff Gordon. Schrader will peek out. You know Gordon will go with him, Ken.
Schrader, he's got so much style and so much class. He took one of the worst rolls. We've seen 5 to go. A year ago at Talladega, and after he came out of that infield care center at Talladega, went over to Evernham and said, hey, I want you to let Jeff Gordon know I don't hold anything against it. That's racing. And he had one eye closed and all banged up, but he took the time to do it. That is a teammate.
It really is. These three have broken away a little bit while the others got to racing a little bit back there. Now Morgan Shepherd trying to pick the draft back up to catch that threesome up front.
And then Andretti runs in that 5th position. With him comes Rudd in 6. Schrader looking back at Gordon.
Look at Gordon's car. Look at the front valence on that car. It's virtually on the racetrack. That's great downforce. That means the car is getting good grip on the front tires.
Second looking at 3rd. Leader continues to be Ernie Irvan. The comeback story of the year continues to be written by the guy in number 28. Almost ready to decide this one in the second Gatorade 125. You see Rudd working on Andretti in the tail end of this back there in 6th position. You look at Gordon and Schrader looking each other over. Front to back, back to front there, Ned.
That's out of each of those cars.
Boy, they're both handling exactly the same. You see right the white line there, that's the apron of the racetrack, and through the corners they have the left front right on that white line.
You sure don't want to get down on that white line, or you're going to take the ride of your life. Right to it. No more, no less. The mark of these champions.
Ernie just sitting there, has not wavered. Looked like at one point he might have been a little bit loose, but I don't know.
Oh, we had contact there almost between John Andretti and Morgan Shepherd.
Morgan had a handful. He had to regroup.
Yeah, he had to back off, and that put him at the back of that pack. But he still has a race car, so.
A little twitchy. Down to the end of this one. Run all the way under green. The Gatorade 125s at Daytona. I consider them 2 of the best races you'll see in the year. So much at stake. And because they are so short, you just can't wait. You got to go flat out all the time.
Ken, you see that John Andretti's moved into fourth spot there. He's in position. If anybody makes a move, he might be right there with them.
Now they're coming up on Rusty Wallace here with just a couple more laps to go. He could play a role in this thing because he's running pretty fast and picking up the ground. He'll get out of their way, but who knows?
I would say Ernie Irvan right now is glad to see him up there because that gives him somebody to draft off of. You see him pulling away just a little bit on Schrader there.
Right. Yeah, I think that'll help Ernie perhaps more than anybody else as he catches Rusty Wallace.
Here's Wallace, about 10 car lengths in front of Ernie Irvan. Wallace, who took a wild ride down pit road at about 190 miles an hour after he got tagged. Look at Andretti climb that wall.
That might have been a mistake here. You see Ricky Rudd looking on the inside, trying to get under him. No, he got right back in. That's a very strong race car to be able to pull out a line like that, right back up on the draft car. White flag's out.
Pay lap coming up.
Rusty moves down out of the way. You let them find it out.
Schrader fades up high.
Schrader's side by side now with the lead car of Ernie Irvan as they come down towards the back straightaway.
And he knows his teammate will go with him.
Andretti takes a look to stay behind Gordon. I thought he was going to come in.
Here comes Ernie back.
And Andretti was about to shoot up there to help Irvan, and Gordon didn't know which way to go.
Into three, side by side. Ford on the inside, Chevy on the outside. Ernie Irvan leading by about 6 inches. Back comes Schrader. Here they come for the finish. They touch. They come to the line. Ernie Irvan pulls it off. Oh, what a finish for Robert Yates and company. Ernie Irvan and Schrader, 3/4 of a lap side by side. That one will go down in the books.
Now that just come down to who wanted to win the most then. I mean, he did everything that you could do to win a race. He made contact, everything was just perfect, and man, what a great race.
Photo finish replay, folks. This is how they finished the second Gatorade 125. 5 cars to the line. Andretti closing on the inside. Looks like he may have taken third from Gordon.
I think he did as they crossed the start-finish line.
Well, that is some moment. And we'll be in victory lane with Ernie Irvan to celebrate this incredible comeback. Bulletproof today. The guy they used to call Swervin' Irvan. Not anymore.
Just call him winner. That's what he is.
Can't wait to hear his sentiments when he unbuckles in victory lane. Final results on race number 2. Ernie Irvan up in front. Ken Schrader, John Andretti, Gordon Rudd. Good run.
What a race it was near the end.
Looking a little further back in this field. Here you see Morgan Shepherd and Jeremy. Jeff Burton had a good run.
Yes, it did. Elton Sawyer came from far back in the field to finish 9th. And there you see the last ones that will get in the Daytona 500. Chad Little bringing up the group there.
Yeah, and Dick Trickle did very well as we look back through the remainder of the field. But the man of the hour is the man in victory lane back there for the first time at Daytona since 1994. Ned, let's take a look at how Ernie Irvan pulled this out of the fire.
Got pretty wild coming off of turn 4. Schrader on the outside, Irvan on the inside. They actually touch coming down towards the start-finish line. Here's Gordon. He makes a move high. He wants to try to draft past on the outside. John Andretti down on the inside as they come to the start-finish line. You can see how close it was. Let's take another look as they come to the start-finish line. A photo finish for not only the lead, but also for third.
And let's join Mike Joy with the winner.
Ernie Irvan on familiar ground, victory lane at Daytona. What a way to complete a comeback.
I tell you, I don't know if it's complete yet, but sure feels good.
Tell me about that last lap because you had a mirror full of everybody.
You know, I knew Schrader was, you know, he was just sitting there waiting to try to find out a good time to go, but he wouldn't go because there didn't have no Chevrolets behind him. And about the time I seen Gordon in the rearview mirror with Schrader, I said, well, I think they're going to team up on me a little bit. But you know, I tell you this, Robert Yates, Texaco Havoline Ford Thunderbird, got a lot of suds under the hood, and they did a great job.
Well, then tell me, in turn 3, were you surprised to see Gordon right behind you instead of up there behind Schrader?
Well, I mean, he is his teammate, but, Gordon was trying to run second no matter what. And, Schrader kind of, kind of buffaloed him at the beginning of the race. So, I'm glad that they were fighting. And, I tell you, I don't know what's going to happen or whatever, but this Daytona 500 is going to be exciting.
It sure is. Ernie, congratulations. Here's Dick Bergeron.
Well, Kenny Schrader pulled into the garage area here and went right over to his teammate, Jeff Gordon. You guys had a long, animated conversation. What'd you tell him, Kenny?
No, he helped me a bunch there last lap. We were just talking. Sometimes it's really a pain to have a teammate out here because I drove around him the one time, and it was either we were both going to get past or I had to go, so I went, put him in the back. I felt terrible. He came up behind me on the last lap, and Little John's going to suck up to Ernie, and we're all going to be wrecked up here, so he cuts down to protect me. And I think he might have been trying maybe he could win, too. But then he moved back up, when he was shut out and tried to help me, but didn't, wasn't enough. But I tell you what, it's hard to drive 3 cars.
How'd you see that last lap, Jeff?
Well, I saw an opportunity there, and, I had some momentum. I come up on Ernie and him. I was glad to see him get beside Ernie. I'm thinking, all right, we don't want Ford to win. We want our own team and a Chevrolet to win. And I'm thinking, okay, I got the momentum. And then all of a sudden, I see John Andretti come up behind me, and he's got the momentum. I got to move down to block him. If I'd have stayed in that line, I might have finished second, but I probably wouldn't have won it. So I figured, hey, let's try to make my teammate win it. I ended up getting 4th, so...
Well, your car seemed to be forward, and then you'd go back, and then you go forward, then you go back. What was happening?
Well, we had a real good handling race car, and, it's tough when you get in a tight squeeze like that. I think I got those guys mad. I got up there, and I come up to them and started passing them on the outside. They didn't like that, so, I got shuffled back there to the back end. I just had to wait a little bit longer until the car started handling better, and the other car started going away, and then the car came right to us. So we know we've got a real good car for the long runs in the 500.
To David Hobbs.
Well, I'm down with Chad Little. Chad, you just made it. You seesawed back and forth their position, but you just made it. How's that feel?
Well, I'm all smiles right now, but it was a lot of work. It really was. The Pontiac handled pretty good, but it's just everyone is so close. We got some more work to do, though. We're going to go back and figure out a setup where we can run a little bit more comfortable. When I was in a tight pack, it was really a handful, but important thing is we made it. Happy for Sterling Cowboy, our new Cup sponsor, and now what we'll try to do is kind of learn from the Cup over to the Busch side and hopefully back and forth, maybe give us a little edge come Saturday and Sunday.
Well, there's a smiling Chad Little, made it into the Daytona 500, Ken Squire.
And so today, Dale Earnhardt has won his 27th race at Daytona, his 7th in a row in the 125-mile qualifiers. But can he win the 500? And Ernie Irvan, thumbs up on your great comeback. And when we return, we'll give you the starting grid for the 1996 Daytona 500.
Today with the running of this Busch Grand National race. It is a very big race for these drivers, very prestigious to do well here. Plus, they are going for the largest purse in series history. Traditionally, it has been a race won by a Winston Cup driver, getting some time in for tomorrow's race. However, that streak was brought to an end just last year. For more on that, here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Bob, only once in the 14-year history of the Busch Grand National Series as a Busch Series regular won this race, the season opening Goodies 300. As you said, it happened a year ago in rather miraculous fashion as Chad Little came from all the way back there, 42nd spot, all the way to the front to take the victory. Today, there are 13 Winston Cup regulars in the field, but only 3 in the top 10. That means there are 7 Busch Series regulars starting up front, and of those 7, 5 have never won a race. Who could it be today? Could it be a Busch Series regular? Maybe a first-time winner? Take a look. Back in row 4 on the outside, Randy LaJoie. He has finished second twice on the speedways, still looking for his first victory. How about inside of him, starting in 7th spot? Vermont's Kevin LePage came here with no sponsor on the card. Great qualifying effort. Moving up the grid in the top 10, Tracy Leslie. His only win came 3 years ago in the short track at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Mike McLaughlin starts 3rd, and he has 1 win. That's at Dover, Delaware. But up front on the pole with a qualifying effort even faster than Dale Earnhardt's pole winning speed for the 500 is Jeff Purvis.
Purvis has never won a Busch Series event. And remember last Sunday when he won the ARCA 200, he climbed out of the car and dedicated that victory to the memory of Neil Bonnet. And look today, on his dashboard, he carries the spirit of Neil Bonnet with him once again. But there's more on some drivers' minds than just winning. With more on that,